Welcome to IMMVR. This is our first meeting. We have two people here. This is Cecilia Cook, my girlfriend. She had to be here. And this is Blythe. She did not have to be here, and for that we appreciate it. So this is going to be just a general introductory presentation. I put the slide in view of the camera so that you could follow along in your Google Drive. I actually put a link to the Google Drive in the Facebook group. If you're interested in checking out this presentation, following along while I do this, that's your prerogative. But for now, let's get started. So my first kind of introductory thing is, right now IMMVR DAWs are games. There's already virtual reality digital audio workstations. For instance, I have a couple of examples here. One is called Soundstage, which they stopped doing work on it. It's been archived on Steam, but it was kind of like the first kind of example of people really leaning into trying to, it's kind of like a Reason, but in VR, in that you link up all the things and you have like the beat machines occurring, and you can define how many squares are in your measure, in your loopable measure, and it's kind of that kind of synthesizer kind of oriented thing. There's now also EXA Infinite Instrument, which is still being updated, and it's a little bit more advanced. This is mostly to say that there's interactive music already in VR. You can use it. It works. There's some functionality that doesn't work that you have in like other VRs, but of course they're working on that, and nobody expected it to be immediate. But the key point is we have the ability to play around with interactive music as a user, and they're selling it like on Steam as a game. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
So that's the first slide. The key issue, of course, is that, well, ignore this. The key issue is that in order to use both of these kind of apps, you have to understand music to some extent. There's like a kind of a hard limit on how much fun you can have after a certain point in EXA Infinite Instrument, because they can set something up for you, like the demo, and you can be like, oh, I can set up these strings and they'll play such and such a note when I swipe through them. But a lot of that kind of live performance-esque value comes from the setup, which is kind of difficult for people who aren't musicians to do creatively. It takes a little bit of investment of time, which is what I kind of intend interactive music videos to avoid. Another slide, this is 360 music videos are interactive in that you choose where to look. And that actually changes the music that you're listening to. And generally that's a good thing. And of course, choosing where to look and that defining what plays is kind of a core function of some possibilities in interactive music videos. You have a question?
So when you're talking about you look a different place and different music happens, are you talking about like in a store where you go from this area and they have like Katy Perry,
360
and then
video,
they have, like,
you're not in control of your music. It's 3 degrees of freedom. So all you have control over is where you look, like what direction you're looking. But like what I'm saying is that in a lot of cases where you look changes like the way the spatialization is. So it changes stereo, and it changes some reverb, and there's some possibilities in this space to go beyond that, so that when you're looking in one direction, a totally separate kind of music is playing. Then when you look in the other, it's actually possible to do that, to have a little bit more extreme cases of interactive music just based on where your head turning, which is, it's a form of control. I just want people to keep that in mind as we go forward, that where you're looking is a form of control.
Why would you have 2 different pieces of music in one music video?
Creativity.
Okay.
It might be...
That was the answer I was really looking
for.
Because I couldn't...
Yeah, no, it's a possibility. Well, and
I want to. Okay, that's great.
Well, and head movement is a control, right? In VR, you've got 3 controls. You've got your both hands. You've also got where you choose to put your head. In 360 videos, you don't really have like the translational movement as much, but you still have like choice of where to look. It's a little weird, but I just wanted to mention that 360 videos are not by default non-interactive. They tend to be a little bit more linear, and you don't really necessarily control the video, but there's a lot of possibilities still for 360 video in interactive music.
So by default, they're non-interactive.
But, well, no, because you still choose, I mean, you still choose, like, there's spatialization that happens. If you look up and the music changes, that's kind of interactive music. It's just, limited in scope.
You said like 3 knots in one sentence, and I didn't understand. It's fine. You'll be able to. Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. No worries. So yeah, that's 360 videos, and the key thing I want to also draw from this is 360 videos have done a lot of work in a lot of really important things, like for instance, editing video around you. That's stuff we can learn from 360. How you track people's field of vision, like show them where important things are. There's a lot of important work being done in 360 videos in that regard. I'll probably be trying to assemble in the future a presentation about that, about things that we can learn from 360 videos that we need to know going forward for our own slightly more complicated interactive kind of medium. Another thing is like movement of self. Like in 360 videos, they don't keep you in one place because usually that's boring. Not always. But they tend to do like editing and cuts and like I saw, for instance, there's a beatboxer who did a 360 video on YouTube where like a key part of the recording was he beatboxed in different spaces, and the spatialization and the reverb, and like he was in a factory, and then he was in a desert, and then he was in a forest, and the backgrounds that you hear from that he edited together so it's not like continuous. So it's like and they're like the reverb changed between cuts. And so you change location not by moving somewhere, but by them like forcing you to do that. And that's also a thing you can learn how to do from 360 videos. Yeah, I mean, and apart from that, just story and themes and inspiration you can draw from 360 videos about, man, I enjoy this 360 video, but I wish I could do blank. So that's another thing. We've got a couple of examples here. This is the beatboxing video. For those watching in the middle, it's called, it's by Reaps1, and I think it's called Does Not Exist. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, interactive music games exist already. This is also going to be the topic of like another future presentation. For instance, there's a lot of it is 2D. There's slightly less interactive like music games in VR right now. But for instance, I have a bunch of examples here. There's games like Chime that take advantage of like timing in a grid system to develop the piece, and so you can hear how your success changes the music. And just standard video games. I mean, if you really simplify the definition of interactive music, yeah, they're interactive music, and some people have tried to claim that a gameplay playthrough of a game is its own work of art because you chose to have those things play. Firing a gun is a choice kind of thing. But that's a really big scope, but I think that we as kind of musicians are probably trying to limit that to an experience that sounds more, say, conventionally musical, that like, you made the choice and a musical thing happens rather than like gunfires, although using guns as sound effects is not out of bounds and probably going to be encouraged. But apart from that, there's already music games, and I'm going to, again, do another presentation on, like, the things that we can learn from that. There's also, like, VR games, like, for instance, Beat Saber. I would check it out. It's got, essentially it's Guitar Hero, but in VR. So you chop blocks.
Oh, like Fruit Ninja.
Kind of like Fruit Ninja, but they come at you in, like, a regular pace, and you chop them, and based on your success, the music continues or stops. It's still kind of, I don't know, they're probably going to do a lot more work with it, like maybe change the quality of the music, and that's, again, but like, it's a music game. It focuses on user interaction as a key part of the experience, but also it's important to notice that in VR, they finally get to move around and use their entire body, something that hasn't been possible in 2D games yet. Like, you used to have like, Xbox controller, or you used a keyboard and mouse. Not to say that these weren't interesting, but like, for a lot of people, especially people who've never like tried to write music before, music is going to be a physical kind of full body experience. And moving around to the beat is a key part of what makes Beat Saber fun. Is you can like slice, and then you can do a spin, and then and that creativity comes from the user of how you approach these slices. And a lot of the videos I've seen, like for instance, there's this group called Node, on YouTube that like did a couple of videos on Beat Saber, and like they took challenges, like they taped the controllers together and tried to use them like nunchucks, or they or they attached them to a stick and they used like a staff to try and swing. So that's like, users will figure out a way to make it fun, but it's like, it's a music game, but they experience it in a they were inspired to do that because they were listening to music with a full body experience and it was really fun. And so they're like, how do we make this more interesting? How do we develop that? And so that's like a key part of like, it's just a testament to how fun music is in VR. What else do I have? Yeah. So, yeah, and again, remember, DAWs in VR already exist. DAWs are technically a game. You could, interactive audio, because you interact with it and then music comes out. Technically, yeah, but again, our focus will probably be on making it user-friendly experiences and kind of defined kind of like I say music video because it's kind of the easiest way to conceptualize like a 3 to 5 minute experience. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna have to research a lot about user interfaces because I'm really new to VR and I don't know exactly like the kind of things that you can do, how you can control things. I know you can do the standard like pick up and grab objects, you can throw objects, and I already have like a couple of ideas like based on that interaction, like what you can try and like imagine. But a key part of these kind of music videos, interactive music videos, is going to be how well the music changes reflect your emotion. Like if you're like waving wildly around or whatever, or if you're kind of like trying to carefully turn a knob or whatever, it depends on like what we end up deciding to do, and I'm going to have to do a lot of research into the work that's already been done kind of in this field about how it feels to use controllers and how it feels to move around in 3D space and control music. This is kind of the part that I know the least about, and hopefully in the future I can talk to a bunch of people. Maybe people can come in and discuss with me and teach me, or I'll Skype them, and learn a little bit more about just what is important to know about the use of controllers in VR and whatever. So that's a thing that I'm going to have to research probably later in the summer. If I find out more about this, I'll do a presentation on that.
When you find out.
When I find out, I'm going to. It's like longer term thinking though. Right. Or when I feel comfortable doing at least a short presentation. So this brings me to what I'm calling interactive pods. It's a kind of lame name, and if you guys want to make a discussion group about making it a better name, please do. But what it is essentially kind of one set. Hold on. When you're given a tool or a set of tools with a kind of time frame for their use and are explained how they work, right? And then you use them to change sound. I'm kind of dividing up those experiences into pods so that it's easier to think of them, because I feel like a music video with all of its separate like forms and like, the structure, I feel like it would be kind of hard to keep something interesting for 5 minutes if you just have them do the same thing the entire time. So I'm kind of dividing up this musical experience into pods of like, for the intro, you do this, then you transition into this set of tools, and the visuals kind of change to reflect that. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. And if you create like a interactive pod that that doesn't require an environment change, but like the way the tools interact with the world changes with the music or with the form, you can totally do that. But it's like you have to think about how the tools that you give the user, how long they are fun, or how much you can do with them before it kind of gets old, and then you kind of have to either change the way the tools work or move on and move them into a different environment with a different tool set, into a different, essentially, pod. So the way I imagine interactive music videos in VR is a bunch of pods strung together by believable transitions, that every time you go through it ends up being like, a full story line, themed experience. The way you tie these pods together is going to require creativity. The way you like combine these tool sets Because, ideally you don't start off with all the cool shit you can do